Deathwatch, the faction that hunts Xenos better than anyone else, studies them more than anyone else, and knows more about them than anyone else, yet somehow doesn't know why Spirit Stones are important or why the Eldar want them back, so let's put them as the focus of Astartes II. Welcome back to Geek, your first stop for all things origin stories, lore and more. If you've been keeping up with the latest updates in the Warhammer 40k universe, then you've probably caught a glimpse of the jaw-dropping trailer for Astartes II, which has everyone talking about the Deathwatch. But if you're new to the hobby, you're probably asking yourself, what exactly is Deathwatch? You may have also encountered them whilst playing through Titus' story in Space Marine 2. So today, we're diving deep to unpack the mysteries of the Deathwatch, exploring who they are, their unique role in the Imperium, and why Titus was part of their ranks before the events of Warhammer Space Marine 2. So get ready for an exciting journey into the lore that's sure to elevate your understanding of this elite group of warriors, and we'll also cover why this news has been received badly by some who argue that although their nature is pretty cool, they often come across in lore as the worst of the Imperium, and some people can't understand why they've rolled with the Deathwatch over other factions. So let's go. In the vast and colourful world of Warhammer 40k, there are tons of unique factions, and not all of them are instantly recognisable as the legendary Bright Blue Ultramarines. While we follow Titus and his Ultramarine squad in Space Marine 2, the game gives a nod to many other beloved Space Marine legions through some cool armour customisation options. But here's a fun twist. The very first faction you encounter in the game isn't the classic Ultramarines at all. It kicks off with a squad of Deathwatch Marines on a very important mission. Right from the get-go in Space Marine 2, players are thrown straight into the thick of the action with just a sprinkle of backstory. The main mission: survive the relentless waves of Tyranids long enough to unleash a deadly virus bomb. As players slice through Xenos and watch Titus reveal his face, it's only natural that curiosity kicks in. Who wouldn't want to learn more about the Deathwatch, especially with their incredibly cool armour? Created by the legendary Lord Commander Corland after a devastating near-extinction invasion of Terra by the Orcs, the Deathwatch is humanity's ultimate line of defence against the looming threat of annihilation from Xenos. This elite force is made up of the best, handpicked from the most seasoned fighters of various Space Marine chapters. Only the most skilled veterans boasting centuries of experience battling Xenos factions throughout the galaxy are chosen to join their ranks. The Deathwatch stands as humanity's strongest fortress against alien invasions, ready to face any threat that dares to challenge them. Beyond their epic skills, one of the coolest things about the Deathwatch is their incredible range of specializations. Coming from all sorts of different factions, each Deathwatch Marine brings their own unique gear to the battlefield, giving every soldier a special advantage in combat. This variety, it's not just for show, it flows right through the gameplay of Space Marine 2, giving a fun in-lore explanation for the differences between the 6 playable classes. Though it's a rare privilege, some Deathwatch members are actually allowed to wield Xenos weaponry when the situation calls for it. These special expectations are not handed out casually. In the gritty universe of Warhammer 40k, each member of the Deathwatch undergoes intense scrutiny, proving their combat skills and unwavering loyalty before they can access such powerful alien tech. After the epic showdown against the Orcs in the first Warhammer 40k Space Marine back in 2011, things take a dark turn for Titus. Betrayed by his former comrade Leandros, falsely accused of corruption by the otherworldly forces of chaos, Titus finds himself swiftly arrested by the Inquisition. In a thrilling climax, he faces off against the Chaos Lord Nemroth, emerging as the sole survivor of a devastating blast of pure warp energy. But instead of receiving the hero's welcome for surviving such a thing, Titus is actually dragged away in chains and shame. Proper, Cersei Lannister shame style. What a twist. His superiors, they can't wrap their heads around how any mere mortal could resist the grip of chaos for so long, especially while taking down a Chaos Lord in a fierce battle. So they decided to throw him in stasis for nearly 100 years, only dragging him out for some seriously tough interrogations by his inquisitors. But here's the silver lining for Titus, if you could call it that. Space Marines age way slower than regular humans. Once they hit adulthood, they can live for centuries. So he's still got a bit of time on his side if he wants that, peaceful retirement. After his loyalties were pushed to the absolute brink, Titus was then assigned to the Deathwatch Marines for the next 100 years, right up to the events we see in Space Marine 2. And while serving in the Deathwatch is a huge honour for many, ambitious Space Marines, it's meant he had to completely leave behind his old identity and become this nameless soldier fighting for the Imperium of Man. After years of being locked away, losing his friends and former glory, Titus has grown a bit jaded, but now he finds himself back on the front lines, ready to face yet another Xenos invasion. After wrapping up his last mission with the Deathwatch, Titus finally gets to don his original heraldry again as the captain of a brand new Ultramarine squad. And as a reward for his brave service in the Deathwatch, his past was wiped clean to avoid any lingering doubts about heresy from his new buddies. It's a tough blow to his pride, but now it's time for players to help Titus reclaim his glory by battling against a massive Tyranid invasion force. Even though he left behind his identity as a Deathwatch Black Shield, he's got a few friends in high places who are still rooting for him from the shadows. But it's not all smooth sailing. He's constantly under the watchful eye of those who would love to see him vanish in one of the many battles that lie ahead. Interlore on their own, it's sort of the perfect blend of accessibility and depth when it comes to getting to grips with Warhammer. One of the standout features of Space Marine 2 is how welcoming it is to newcomers while staying true to the long-time fans of the franchise. As a AAA title, it offers gameplay that's far more intuitive than traditional Warhammer experiences, complete with difficulty settings that cater to players of all skill levels. Not only does Space Marine 2 immerse players in this rich setting and concepts of the 40k universe, but it has clever references that also inspire players to dive deeper. But Deathwatch being incorporated, or even the focal point of Astartes II, it hasn't come without its backlash. Some argue that they find the whole thing a bit convoluted and not very effective. And by this I mean, we're talking about a faction with a legendary reputation for taking down anything in their path. You'd think a single kill team could swing the tide of a regular 40k game, but in terms of gameplay, the rules on the tabletop, they don't quite match the epic lore that's attached. Instead, units feel overcosted, limited in effectiveness, and sometimes just plain absent. They should be dominating with their overwhelming firepower, strength, subterfuge, and that cool Xenos tech, but somehow they sort of end up being a bit of a parody of themselves. Ultimately, in the lore, Deathwatch is comically evil and will make for great television, but they're basically the Inquisition's anti-Xenos Black Ops guys, and they aren't afraid to do some pretty horrific things. So again, I think from an entertainment perspective, it kind of hits the nail on the head. In terms of gameplay, I think they get heat because they're just badly balanced. They have complicated rule sets, confusing interactions, and high model costs without the same kind of payoff that character models get. All that said, they're still stylish as hell, and definitely one of my favourite of the Imperium factions. So there you have it. The Deathwatch, they stand out as one of the most intriguing factions in the Warhammer 40k universe, embodying the essence of unity, resilience against the dark forces that threaten humanity. Their unique blend of elite warriors from various chapters creates a rich tapestry of backgrounds and skills, making every mission an epic tale of camaraderie and sacrifice. As for Titus, his journey from this brave ultramarine to a complex, multifaceted character within the Deathwatch, it adds layers to his story that resonate with fans and also pique their intrigue. His struggles with loyalty, identity, and redemption make him not just a soldier, but a symbol of hope in the grimdark universe of 40k. If you've enjoyed our deep dive into the Deathwatch and Titus's compelling narrative, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more origin stories from Geek. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's your favourite aspect of the Deathwatch or Titus's story? And until next time, keep your eyes peeled for more Warhammer content from us, and may the Emperor protect.